Hello everyone. I am Johnson. Today, let's learn how to make various refreshers. Pull to refresher is a user interface design pattern commonly used in mobile applications or web pages. Users can trigger a refresh operation by pulling the page or content downwards to obtain the latest data or content. Let's create the prototype. First, drag in a dynamic panel and place it below the header bar as a container for dragging. Then drag in a label and input text. Move the dynamic panel to the right. Drag in a loading icon, name it loading, and set it to be hidden. Then drag in an arrow icon and set it to be hidden. Change the fill color of the dynamic panel to white and bring it to the front. Drag in a hotspot, name it trigger, for measuring the distance of the drag. Duplicate it and name it stop for measuring the distance of a temporary pause in the drag. Add a dragged interaction to the dynamic panel. Move this with drag Y. Add two cases. In case 2, add a condition. If this .y is greater than 0, move this y coordinate to 60, its original position. Add another condition. If this .y is greater than the y value of trigger, move this to the y value of stop. Add a 100 milliseconds animation. Duplicate this for the drag-dropped interaction. After waiting for 2000 milliseconds, move this y value to 60 and add a 100 milliseconds animation. Here, we need to first show loading and then hide it. In the dragged interaction, we need to show the arrow. Then duplicate the condition, delete all actions, and rotate arrow to 180 degrees. Add a 200 milliseconds animation. Duplicate the condition and change is greater than to is less than. Rotate the arrow to 0 degrees. Here, add hide arrow and preview the prototype. When dragging the content to a certain distance, you should see the arrow rotate. When the drag ends, show the loading icon, and then move the content to the corresponding position. Duplicate the page and rename it Custom Refresher Content. First, delete the loading icon, then drag in a new loading icon. Then drag in a label, input refreshing, and group it with the icon. Name it loading. In the interactions, set the targets to loading. Delete the arrow. Drag in a new arrow. Name it arrow. And set them to be hidden. In the interactions, set the targets to arrow. Adjust the position of the hotspot. Preview the prototype. When dragging the content, you should see the arrow and loading icon change. Duplicate the page and rename it Advanced Usage. Delete the content in the dynamic panel, then drag in a list dynamic panel. It has two states. State 2 is the effect after loading content, with blue dots. Add an action to the drag-dropped interaction to set the state of the list dynamic panel to state 2. In the dragged interaction, set the state of the list dynamic panel to state 1. Preview the prototype. After dragging the content, you should see the effect after the content is loaded. Duplicate the interaction. Change is greater than 2 is less than or equal to. Then select Move this to XY before drag. Duplicate the interaction to the content of the other pages. Preview the prototype. When the drag distance is not reached, the content will return to its original position. If you like my video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel.